All right. Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. And if you guys just saw the scores from last night's NBA games, you're missing out on some pretty wild stories.
Yeah, some big surprises.
Yeah, so we got five big matchups to cover today, and let's just dive right into it.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's start with the LA Clippers versus the Detroit Pistons James Harden man.
Oh, yeah.
50 points.
That's right. 50 burger for the beard.
But it wasn't just the 50 points, it was how he got them, you know?
Right. He's had some criticism this season for drawing a lot of fouls, like being too reliant on getting the free throw line. But last night he was just a straight up hooper.
Straight up Hooper man, aggressive drives, like step back threes, just cooking.
Totally. And the Pistons just had no answer.
No answer for him. It's 14 of 24 from the field, 6 of 13 from three-point line. That's not just hot shooting.
No.
That's calculated.
That's picking apart the defense.
Yeah. So what do you think about this performance? Do you think this is a turning point for the Clippers?
I mean, it could be if Harden can play like this consistently, their offense becomes very difficult to stop.
Now, on the other side, Cade Cunningham almost had a triple-double. You know, he's showing why he's such a well-rounded player.
Definitely.
But even with his efforts, the Clippers' defense was just too much, especially at the end of the game. So they held on for the win, 123 to 115.
That's the big question for the Clippers going forward. Can their defense match that offensive firepower?
Absolutely. All right, speaking of teams exceeding expectations, how about the Oklahoma City Thunder?
Oh, man.
They just destroyed the Memphis Grizzlies last night, 120 to 103.
Yeah, they really put on a show, didn't they? It was just a dominant performance from start to finish, and it really makes you wonder about their potential this season.
Yeah, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I mean, he was phenomenal, 32 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. But it was more than just the scoring. He was just making plays left and right.
Yeah, he was everywhere, wasn't he? And that's what's been so impressive about the Thunder this year.
Yeah.
So it's not just one or two guys. They're getting contributions from up and down the roster.
Their defense was amazing. They held the Grizzlies way below their season average. But we should mention, though, Memphis was missing some key players, Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr.
Right.
That definitely had an impact. But even without those guys, I mean, the Thunder, they was just the better team on the court last night.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they're really making a statement this season. They're proving that they're not just a feel-good story. They're a legitimate force in the West.
So, I mean, is it too early to call them contenders?
I think it might be a little early, but they're definitely playing like a team that deserves to be in the conversation.
Yeah, they're definitely fun to watch. And we're going to see how they continue to grow and develop as the season goes on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Should we move on to our next matchup?
Yeah, let's keep this energy going. We got a lot more to talk about. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back after the break. You know, it's crazy to think about how much a team's identity can change, like from one season to the next.
Yeah.
Last year, the Thunder were all about, developing their young players, letting them get experience. And now they're like a legitimate threat.
Yeah, it's a huge shift. And, it's not just about the talent. It's about that belief that they can win. And you can see it in the way they're playing.
For sure. And, speaking of teams who are known for their consistency and their toughness, the Denver Nuggets, they pulled out a win against the Sacramento Kings, won 16 to 110, but it was not easy.
Yeah, those are the kind of wins that can really build a team's character. When they're not playing their best, but they find a way to grind it out.
Yeah, it was a real battle. The Kings were playing with a lot of energy. DeMar DeRozan had 35 points. He was unstoppable.
He was on fire. And it would have been easy for the Nuggets to fold under that pressure, but they didn't. They stayed focused and they stuck to their game plan.
Yeah, Nikola Jokic, he didn't have his usual, explosive scoring night, but he was still a beast on the boards, 22 points, 14 rebounds.
Yeah, and his offensive rebounds were huge.
Yeah.
He's giving them second chance opportunities, and that's what kept him in the game.
Yeah, and then you got Jamal Murray, man. He's starting to look like his old self again, hitting those clutch free throws down the stretch.
He's so important for them. When he's playing well and he's knocking down those big shots, they're a completely different team.
Okay, and then we got to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. They just demolished the Dallas Mavericks last night, 137 to 107.
Oh, man. They were on another level, weren't they?
Giannis was unstoppable. 32 points, 15 rebounds in under 25 minutes, and he reached a huge milestone in the process.
Yeah, 20,000 career points. That's incredible, especially at his age. He's already one of the greats.
And it wasn't just Giannis. Damian Lillard had a big night, too, 34 points. The Bucks were firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. And the Mavericks were missing Kyrie Irving, so that definitely had an impact. But even with Irving, I don't think they would have stood a chance against that Milwaukee team.
And, speaking of close games, we got to talk about the Washington Wizards. They got a win against the Utah Jazz, 125 to 122. But man, that one went down to the wire.
Yeah, it was a nail biter, wasn't it?
Back and forth the whole game.
Yeah, that's what makes the NBA so great. You never know what's going to happen until the final buzzer.
The Wizards showed a lot of grit, though, coming back from a double-digit deficit in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they really stepped up their defense in the second half, and they were making some tough shots down the stretch.
7 Wizards players scored in double figures. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was a real team effort, and that's what you need to win those close games.
Justin Champagnie was huge off the bench, leading the team with 17 points.
He was fearless, attacking the basket, knocking down threes. He really sparked their comeback.
Johnny Juzang and Kyle Filipowski played well for the Jazz, but it wasn't enough.
They're a young team, still figuring things out, but they got a lot of talent, and they're going to be a tough matchup for anyone in the future.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground tonight, 5 games, all with different storylines and different implications for the playoff race.
Yeah, it's been a wild night in the NBA. It was impressive how the Wizards, they really adapted their game plan. Like, they pushed the pace. They were forcing turnovers. They were getting easy baskets in transition.
Yeah, and, Justin Champagnie, he was a huge spark off the bench. He led the team with 17 points.
Yeah, he was attacking the basket. He was hitting shots from outside. He really brought that energy.
Definitely. Johnny Juzang and Kyle Filipowski. They played well for the Jazz, but, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, they're still a young team, but got a bright future.
All right, so we've covered 5 games tonight, all with some pretty crazy storylines. And, what's it all mean for the playoff race?
I think we're seeing a shift in the NBA landscape. These young teams like the Thunder, they're making some serious noise. And then you got the veteran teams like the Nuggets and the Bucks. They're showing why they're still the teams to beat.
Yeah, it's such an exciting time to be an NBA fan. Like, the talent level is just through the roof. And every night there's a new story to follow.
Yeah, and we're getting close to the playoffs, so things are only going to get more intense.
Every game, every possession is going to matter. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you guys with something to think about. Which teams are peaking at the right time? Who needs to step up their game? Keep those questions in mind as you watch the games unfold, and we'll see you back here soon for another deep dive into the world of the NBA.
Sounds good.